Hi, everyone. I want to bring Julie Marie Murphy, the author of this fabulous book, The Four Spiritual Laws of Money, and a social club favorite, a favorite of mine. Julie, you know so much about money and wisdom and spirituality. Welcome to our Zoom for today.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Glad to be here.
Yes, it's always great to get your wisdom. A lot of people who listen to the podcast, the Jen Weigel show, will recognize Julie from conversations we've had. But you have something coming up. We're having this conversation. Today is March 20th of 2023. You have something coming up that might be of value. I know will be of value to many of the social club audience members. So let's talk about what kind of deep dive you're going to be doing to help people get more financially wise, if you will.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah. So the deep dive I've got coming up is I'm doing a course that starts April 19th.
Okay.
And we are going to be deep diving into because I always say we work things out and we act it out. We do it through our money, through our health, or our relationships. So, like, I'll have plenty of people that come to me going, no, I think money stuff's okay. And I'm like, okay, so then what's going on in your health and what's going on in your relationships? Because if we're not processing stuff that is not in alignment with our soul
Mhm.
and or in alignment with our hearts and our souls, right? Because our soul speaks through our heart and our ego speaks through our mind. That's where it acts out at, either with our money, our relationships, and or our health. And so I learned years ago when I was doing my work with Deepak Chopra that there's this connection between our health and our wealth. And it was like I had so many women develop breast cancer, and that's all about not nurturing the self.
Right.
But yet they were always provided for, they had a family and money, because as a financial planner, I deal with people who have money
Mhm.
often. And then I'm like going, oh, but then if you're not addressing the stuff with the kids or the stuff with your relationship or with your health, you're either getting divorced and then half your money's going out the door, or you're losing your job because you're not passionate about the work that you're doing any longer. And
Mhm.
it's like these patterns I've just seen with people over time. And it's like we're all searching just to be happy. And
Right.
it's like we just have to get to this place of sustainable happiness and joy. And you can't get that if you don't get to the crux of exactly what's creating the patterns in the first place.
Well, you talk a lot about needing to be in some sort of profession that makes you giggle. You have to
Yeah.
giggle. And the vibration of joy and laughter in your life,
Right.
when you work, it will impact your relationships in your marriage, with your children, with your coworkers, all of it. And it all
Yep.
stems from that joyful place inside and that ability to giggle. So when people sign up for this, how are they going to learn? Like, give me an idea of the structure and the frequency of how much you gather to help
Yep.
give people more tools in their toolbox.
Yeah, so we're the program is called Impact. So
Okay.
it's about how to make an impact on your life to create this sustainable happiness and joy.
Okay.
And we will cover things in this process that actually go through of following your intuition first and foremost. That's what the I stands for. It's about we got to really dig down and go into your intuition. What is you telling you? And then what always happens when people go, well, this is what my intuition's telling me, and then we go, but, and I'm like, butts, no coconuts.
So
That's why we
much.
have to stay
Mhm.
in this place of follow your intuition and really picturing what it is that we want to create in our life. And we walk through the different areas of your life, from your family life, from your financial life, your personal life, and your career. And we will go through each of those. And I have worksheets, and where it's going to be this opportunity to interweave every couple of days with
Mhm.
an exercise, a lesson, a teaching,
Mhm.
feedback I want you to give back, posting, just so that you can really start to map out at the beginning what is your intuition telling you? And then what is it? So your intuition's telling you something, but then how does that then relate to daily life? And how do you picture your daily life and what you want to create? And the second step in that process is we have got to accept reality. So for those
There's that. Yeah.
yeah, there is that.
Mhm.
Because the acceptance of reality is actually what creates the mental and emotional and physical space for the
Mhm.
new to come in.
Got
If
it.
we don't accept reality, we're
Right.
jamming ourselves up mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually.
So
And
faith in the music is huge. I mean, I see that all the time in my coaching, right? People just don't want to go there and they don't want to own it. And a lot of it then attaches shame and blame and all of these things. And I just tell people all the time, just own it. Just
Right.
own it. You did the
Right.
best you could at the time in the moment. And now it is a cause and effect. So there's a result from those actions. And the best part is you're taking the reins and you're taking control, and you're going to say, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. I am going
Right.
to, put on my oxygen mask and be able to bundle in, like we talked about in the podcast, like just putting an account aside that says the Greece account for those who want to take a trip to Greece,
Right.
and putting
Exactly.
$50 a week in that, just so that you go over time, you're like, oh my God, look at what I've done for us, for the family, for this wish thing that I never thought was possible, but because I made it a priority, it now is possible,
Well,
right?
and this is where I tell people that you're on a bridge,
Mhm.
right? And the question is your reality is on one side, and
Yeah,
what you dream is on the other side. And those dreams are following the intuitive hits that you're getting.
right.
And the problem is people don't necessarily see how to walk across that bridge. And your bridge might be that shaky one in the jungle, like you see in Indiana Jones movies,
Right, right.
or it could be a Golden Gate Bridge that's nice and solid and straight. And I'm walking because I'm trying to control it all along the way.
Right.
Right. And so it doesn't matter what kind of bridge you have. It's
Mhm.
just about the fact that you're willing to take the next step forward in the bridge.
Right.
And that's what the interwoven exercises that I'm going to walk people through in this course is going to take those bite-sized pieces.
Yeah.
Like, it could be, like, on your financial front, it could be that piece where you're just setting up a savings account
Mhm.
that's named Greece. That's obviously one of my go-tos all the time are
Right.
those online savings accounts that you can name your financial intention for,
Yes.
right? But it's
Mhm.
linking your money back to your intentions, linking your behaviors and your relationships back to your intentions.
Mhm.
Because I'll tell you this, it's the same patterning, whether it's your relationships, your money, or your health, it's all the same patterning. It's usually an underwoven wave under the surface that's actually a lack of self-love.
Mhm.
And when we have a lack of self-love and we don't even know how to put ourselves a priority, that often, and I'll walk people through some exercises in the process in the course of how to get back in tune with your heart.
Yeah.
Because you may have been living life on this track over here and you're like going, none of that's true for me anymore.
Mhm. You've
Because you didn't even realize you were in your patterning in
Mhm.
something that wasn't really feeding your heart and soul. You thought
Yeah.
that it was, but it was actually really based on your subconscious belief system and the way you grew up and the patterns from your parents and your communities that you grew up in. And it's like, oh, no, no, I'm finding out that that's not really true for me. And I'm being called over here. And if we don't go to the over here,
Right.
we create disease in our bodies every time.
Yeah.
Every single time. I always say that our soul came in here to walk this path. And the more we veer from the path, the bigger the midlife crisis hits, the
Mhm.
bigger the crisis. And the crises continue to get bigger and bigger. I heard Carolyn Mace talk years ago when she said, um, we just have to call these crises because that's the only way that we shift. And one of the things that I have found over time is that we can choose other things besides the crisis. But
Mhm.
most of the time, we don't get the message of the crisis. And Carolyn's spot on that
Right.
we don't do it until we hit the crisis, but we don't have to do it until we hit the crisis.
Right.
Right.
Avoid the crisis if you can, and that comes from awareness, accountability, and like you said, following your intuition. And it's funny,
Right.
it's not funny, but when it happens and I am in the crisis and I go, ah, I did
Right.
feel this one coming, and there were some hints along the way, and there were these little nudges, and there were some wink winks, and I didn't follow them. I just kept with my, I think I know how to do this, human third dimensional thing. And all of these signs were coming, and I was like, no, 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 pay no attention to the man behind the counter. And then, sure enough, boom, we're in
Right.
crisis. And so now you
Right.
go, okay, own it, thank
Mhm.
yourself for it, say, look at how human I am, and now I want to move forward with a different way of being, with a different way of teaching my family, my kids. I was just on the phone with Lynn Dietrich, who owns the Dietrich farm up in Salem, Wisconsin, and we do a lot of things together, and it's been a big oxygen mask for me to be able to make time to go up an hour, from the Chicago area and feed my soul in just like an afternoon. It's just
Right.
incredible. But I would used to think, oh, I could never do that. Well, sure you can. You get in the car, you drive, and you get there. But she said
Right.
people are so more willing to help an animal in crisis than they are to help themselves. It's
Right.
like, oh, let's save the children, let's save the whales, let's save the, save
Yeah.
a pet. Oh no, Sarah McLaughlin's on a TV commercial. I'm going to start crying. Let me donate money. But we won't do ourselves the favor of having lunch with a friend,
Right.
or, going to get a mani-pedi if you're a girl, or a massage
Yep.
if you're a guy, or both. And we just say we can't afford to do things for ourselves. But the reality is we can't afford not to.
Well, and because most of our conditioning is based on a fear-based response system.
Yes.
And so what the course is all about is building the muscle to start to not turn to fear-based responses
Mhm.
and turning into responses that actually create more of a foundation for yourself. And that's what actually creates the sustainable joy and happiness.
Mhm.
And when you do it in a group format too, I find that it's a little bit easier because you can witness in somebody else something that is, you're kind of going, what? Because we all have these energetic cords that tie us to each other.
Mhm.
So every single person that joins my course or your courses,
Mhm.
like you're there for a reason because there are people there that have the same cords and the same fears and the same, and maybe one of those people is a little bit farther down the path, or maybe you're going to teach somebody else who's not as far down the path, but
Right.
you're going to be able to witness and be aware of watching that within somebody else, and then all of a sudden some light bulb's going to go on inside of you. And so I think it's super powerful doing it in group settings
Yes.
because you're really starting to, you quantum leap a lot faster is what I've learned in
Mhm.
my current coaching group this past year. The quantum leaps that have occurred, and it was
Yes.
just because one of them broke the barrier of their patterns with their work career, and all of a sudden it made it that much easier for everybody else to break their patterns in their careers with each
Totally.
other.
Change
It's
comes
just
from
amazing.
inspiration. Yeah, and that's what we talk about a lot. Inspiration, not imposition. And I see that too in my
Mhm.
social club groups. It's the exact same. Oh, if they can
Yep.
do it, I can do it. And that's what
Correct.
you're building. You're building
Right.
that muscle.
Right.
So for anyone who's watching this, Julie, how do they sign up? Where do they go?
Yeah, if you just go to juliemurphy.com,
Okay.
there's going to be a place, and Jen will actually give you a link that you can actually have
Okay,
to
perfect.
put on your stuff as well.
Okay.
And like I said, we start on April 17th, or the week of April 17th, but it actually starts on Wednesday the 19th.
Okay.
And it's about a month from now. And we're looking forward to just helping people really align more and more with themselves to really step into their life from a place of personal empowerment. Because we have a lot of people walking around that are teeter tottering of, am I going to buy into all the fear that's going on in the world? Or am I going to continue to stay empowered and even more empowered,
Yeah.
whether that's financially, personally, career wise, health wise, and really getting you to where you want to be?
I love it. So look in the notes of this video to find the link to sign up for Julie's empowering, intuitive impact, baby. You're going to have a big impact. And then, of course, jenweigel.com for more social clubs coming up. We'll get Julie on the spiritual book club to come up and just talk specifics just on this book and so much more. Julie, thank you for all the incredible work that you're doing and for
Thank you.
everybody's, honestly, the joy that you feel around a room. I can't even imagine what it would be like in a Zoom with so many other people. So thank you for
Well, and
doing all
it's
the work
just
you're doing.
time for all of us to integrate our hearts, our heads, and our wallets. Time for all the integration to happen.
It's all good. I love it. And our wallets. It's so funny. I'm looking over now and my programming too from childhood. It's like we all have stuff. Let's just kind of face it, own it,
Mhm.
and move forward with educated minds about it. So I love it. Thank you, Julie. All right, we're going to end this
Welcome.
video and continue our dialogue, but everybody just go to the notes for the link to sign up for Julie.